Welcome to the Kontent Rocks podcast, the show about all things kontent.ai, .net, and Azure for people who want to learn more about headless technology. And now, here's your host, Brian McKeiver.
All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks again for joining us on the Kontent Rocks podcast. I'm pretty excited today to be joined by one of my new friends, Nabil Orfali, CEO and founder of Kajoo.ai. Nabil, how are you doing?
I'm pretty good. Thank you, Brian, for having me.
Yeah, thanks for making the time. So we met a couple months ago at the beginning of the year, really, in a lovely area of Florida at a CMS conference, and had a great time there. And ever since, I've been trying to get you on the show, so I'm really glad that we were finally able to make it happen, because you've got some exciting stuff going on over there at Kajoo, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So the topic for this episode is to really have everyone get to know you quickly, learn a little bit about what Kajoo is, how the company was formed, and kind of where you see yourselves bringing value into the market for digital experience platforms, headless CMS platforms, developers, marketers. There's a lot there. So, in fact, there's so much that we could possibly talk about. I think we might even do 2 episodes to make it very clear. But to get started, I think that it's great if others could hear the same story I heard back in Florida, Nabil. Could you maybe, introduce yourselves, give us a little bit of your background, how you came into this crazy digital world that we're all living in these days, and maybe start off with, where are you from? I'd love to know.
Yeah, absolutely. So my background is in computer science. I'm going to be dating myself right now. So, in the late 90s, started my career as a web developer. And I was really into computers and programming even early in high school, and when I get to study computer science and start my career, I was actually one of the first to build an online payment system in the Middle East for the first ISP, internet service provider, in that area.
Awesome.
So and then from there, I got involved into building websites, and we all know this history of dynamic CMSs and how they started. We started building websites as an HTML, static HTML, and every time you want to change content, you want to go back to the developers, and then things evolved from there into like building control panels for websites, and building kind of like customized CMS for every client. Then industry evolved into a more formalized CMS. So my whole career has been in the DX building space on early on CMSs, commerce, digital experiences, from the days of like Microsoft CMS Plus that turns into SharePoint back in the time.
Oh, yeah.
All the way to Sitecore, Adobe AM, Hybris, and now we are into the composable world where like kontent.ai and all these technologies. So that's my background. I'm an entrepreneur by DNA. So in the late 2014, I decided to quit my job at Canadian Tire. Was managing the Adobe AM and Hybris commerce project. After I'm done with that and delivered it, decided to leave my job there and establish a digital agency called Tech Guilds, which is focusing 100% on DXP on the enterprise level, DXP implementation, design. It's an agency that I started that has innovation and at heart and a part of our DNA, and then 5 years ago, Kajoo was born inside Tech Guilds from the need of streamlining the development process, and expediting time to value on building components and experiences on DXPs like Sitecore or composable like Adobe or kontent.ai. So it's basically, and yeah, so that's about me.
Yeah. Well, I didn't realize we are so much of a kindred spirit. I'm with you. My career started late 90s as well, web developer, same idea. We were building CMSs from scratch ourselves, and just I always tell people we thought like, man, there's just got to be a better way. So our histories are eerily similar, and that's crazy because I didn't even know that going into this. And then maybe that's why we got along so quickly when we met in Florida. But one other question. So my first computer I ever started programming on was a Commodore 64. What was your first computer?
Actually, Commodore 64 was one of the first computers. Amiga 500.
Amiga. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. Yeah.
that was a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, going back, it seems to the same time in our history. So
awesome. Well, I'm sure we could, probably spend hours just talking about the old days, but maybe we'll move away from that and talk more about Kajoo.ai a little bit. Could you fill us in on you said it was out of the need of an agency to move faster, to deliver value quicker. And, it's always a jump. As someone who runs an agency here, it's always been a jump for us to say, ooh, let's productize maybe some of our secret sauce or what we do best. How was that decision? Was that really tough? And are you fully focused in it? Are you still in tech guilds? Is there a split there, or are you dedicated to Kajoo?
Okay, so that's a great question. So I mean, 5 years ago, we actually, as you described, it came out of the need of I looked at the team and said, "Hey guys, how many times do you want to build another hero banner?" Right? And they said like, would rather really work on a higher value work where we do something better and more exciting. And I'm like, okay, there's machine learning algorithms out there. There's neural network advancing very fast at that time, and that was like before LLMs or ChatGPT or OpenAI. I'm like, can we not just leverage AI, train a model of some sort that would convert a design into code in the DXP? And we started with Sitecore. But and then some people laughed at us, some people called us crazy, and we were set to do it. So what we've done is literally we created a fake video of the process, and we presented it as a kind of a prototype idea in one of the conferences, and we tried to get some feedback from the industry. Is that something would be useful if we can make it happen? The feedback was tremendous. The traction was like literally, there's something crazy on that booth you need to see. And we have like hundreds of people coming and just discussing the idea. So from there we were like, okay, there's something there that we need to do, and we're excited about it. It's an innovation that's going to change how DX is built, and we were set to do it. So it took us a little bit below a year to actually do the first prototype of the proof of concept. To convert, we started with converting hand-drawn sketches into code. We did that first prototype. We presented it again the second year in one of the conferences, and also the feedback was amazing. So we keep on iterating, and then we got feedback from the market on like, okay, hand-drawn sketches are great, but what about Figma? We use Figma to design digital experiences. Can you maybe add that? So we keep on iterating and trying this kind of like platform internally at Tech Guilds to see how much is going to save time in the development process. And it was really amazing to see how we were able to actually train a model and build that platform to expedite the development process and increase the or decrease the time to value for marketing departments to be able to build and launch experiences. Because I mean, from our experience, and I'm sure you know that from an agency perspective, every time a marketing department on a client side want to launch a campaign, especially on the large DXP platforms, it takes like a couple months to build anything. And oftentimes you see marketers saying, if it's going to take me 2 months and $30,000 to do a landing page for a campaign, you see them going and to like Instapage or like a landing page builder and just build it quickly and launch it, because they have mandate to move fast, and they can't just wait for that. And this is unfortunate, because that campaign would be disconnected from the big investment that was done on your DXP. You don't have any analytics or personalization or anything like that. So that's a problem that we really try to solve, accelerating the time to market with like up to 70% with Kajoo.
Awesome. So was it something that you thought that, hey, we're going to build this tool and it's going to be in this exact box and it's going to do this thing, and that thing maybe is a shortcut to writing code? Or did you have a bigger vision of like, hey, no, we want to use AI to do lots and lots of things, and this is just the first step? I'm kind of curious on that take. And maybe it's like another way to say my question to you would be, if you had to summarize the strengths of what Kajoo.ai is, how would you say it to people?
Yeah, so I mean, in a nutshell, in simple words, it's an AI-powered digital experience builder, and it accelerates the development process, and it addresses the issue of also other personas in the digital team. So designers, usually, oftentimes, you see a lot of friction between designers and developers, and some frustration as well sometimes, right? So so I mean, we implemented an interactive design system for the designers to actually make sure they input and create that design system closer to the development process, and that can be consumed by developers using Kajoo visually to ensure governance. And then the whole process from designer, or maybe we start from like the business and marketing when they give the brief, all the way to the designer when they design, and then hand over to the developers to build that design and experience, and then the output, where it's a set of components that are reusable and easy to consume by the content authors and marketers. We cover the whole thing end to end. And maybe I can share my screen and show you some kind of like an explanation of how the platform works.
I think that'd be great. Go ahead and throw it on there, and I'll make sure it shows up on the screen.
All right.
Okay, I think I'm seeing it come in now.
All right, there you go. So again, I mean, the goal of Kajoo is to democratize DX building for everyone. And when I say for everyone, it's like all the digital team. So you can see here, every box here is a module of Kajoo.ai, and there's a kind of a persona here on like who's really going to benefit from that module. So this is the interactive design system that I talked about. It integrates very nicely and close to the DX builder, where the developer will be living here and using. And this is kind of like a visual development canvas, where developer, it can be an intern or a citizen developer in a low code, no code industry, they call it. Someone who can really convert the designs that the designer built from Figma, or even convert and migrate an existing implementation on a legacy DXP, where the business or the client really invested millions of dollars designing and implementing on a DXP, and then only to find themselves needing to rewrite all the code to modernize and go to composable, and spending the exact same amount or even sometimes more in rewriting all the code and components. So we were able to address that problem as well. We could convert an existing implementation and design and front-end code through AI to the DX builder, where the citizen developer can have full control over this converted experience. We convert everything here to a Kajoo universal language, would be rendered in the canvas, and the developer would have full control over the layout and styling, and even they can check for accessibility and make the experience accessible day one. We have a built-in accessibility checker that can give you all the issues while you're building, which on its own saves a lot of time and money on that building.
And one question there for you, Nabil, the universal language of Kajoo, is it JSON type of file format schema? Is it straight up React? I mean, I see a couple different output options. It looks like you could do almost anything, but I'm just curious, what is that universal format behind the scenes?
Yeah, it's a standard universal kind of like it's a JSON format. It's a structure that actually describes every single detail of the digital experience, all the layout and styling in a kind of like a universal way.
Okay.
And the benefit of that is, first of all, our canvas and rendering engine is capable of in real time interacting with that language and allow for real time editing. But also, once the developer here is done or the user is done, they can convert that or generate code in any of these languages, Next.js, React, Angular, or Vue, because we standardized the description of all the UI and the styling and layout, and also the binding with headless data sources. So we're able to generate code any of these languages, and this is also part of the democratization of the X building, because I mean, you're not tied to a platform, you're not tied to a language, and even like to live that value, really, the generated code has no ties to Kajoo. It's something that the client owns. There's no vendor lock-in, and you can just generate code and put it through your normal development process, and you're not tied to the platform.
Fantastic.
So then after the experience is built, by the developer, now we move to the other persona, which is the marketer and content author. The outcome of this, kind of like module here is working reusable components in the language that you want, on the platform that you want, integrated here, and you can deploy it either to your existing DXP if it has a visual editor like Sitecore or Optimizely or Kentico, or if it's in the case of like a true headless CMS like kontent.ai, you can actually leverage the Kajoo DX Manager, which is really like a universal editor that consumes the components that were built by the developer in the DX Builder, and they can build pages, drag and drop components, have the control over these experiences or components in a way that is governed by what the developers and designers allowed them to change. So, for example, if it's a hero banner, here in the builder you have full control. You can change all the CSS properties, even like do technical things here, and the binding with the content model. But when the marketer or content author consume that hero banner, maybe the developer just allow them to change the color of the CTA, or maybe the alignment of the image, right or left, but nothing more from governance perspective, right? Like, because it has to be on brand, it has to be easy. You should not give
right
full control. In some cases it become messy.
Yeah, you don't want to turn it into the wild, wild west.
Exactly. Yeah, like we're all seeing, we've seen, without this process, sometimes the content authors would have a rich text editor for the component where they actually style anything and copy and paste HTML.
Suddenly, red Comic Sans font is in there.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, this DX Manager is is for this persona, marketers and content author. They can consume those components that are built, and of course, when they drop a component into the page, they can bind it with a data source, like a content item from the headless CMS. content entry in kontent.ai, for example, if that component was integrated with a kontent.ai model. And then you just publish it to the edge. This whole process, historically speaking, looking at our clients, it saved up to 70% of the whole process of time. So, I mean, we have American Bankers Association using Kajoo. They're really able to launch microsites and landing pages in like a week.
Nice.
From scratch, new design, build it, launch it in a week, which is like, unheard of.
Yeah, that's very impressive. And I mean, I even, so behind the scenes, Nabil has showed me this tool using my own website at bizstream.com and bringing it in and how quickly it works. So super excited to show everyone what it looks like next. And that is what's going to be kind of coming up in the next episode, because we're actually right about time for today. So definitely good explanation. I would say to everyone who's watching and listening, stay tuned. The next part is coming. We're actually going to see it in action, which is frankly even more impressive than just talking about it. But we do want to point out that if you are interested in seeing this now, there is a way to get a hold of Nabil at Kajoo.ai, which is basically a demo or a POC that they're willing to provide, right, Nabil? I think that's going to be something you'd be happy to do for people.
Absolutely. Yeah, reach out to us. We can do a proof of concept, convert like either a new design or an existing website, and give you access to see how it works and experience it yourself. Just go there and book my calendar basically on the Kajoo.ai website.
Very cool. Well, I appreciate it. So, Nabil, thank you for the walk down memory lane, talking about your experience in computer science and programming and agency life, and now product with Kajoo.ai. It's been enlightening. I really enjoyed the presentation so far, and I can't wait to see what's next. But for now, everyone, this has been the latest episode of the Kontent Rocks podcast, and we will see you next time.
Thank you so much, Brian.
Thanks.
Take care.